Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, the sacrifice performed by Daksha. Text number 13 onwards. So Lord Shiva has given the goat head to Daksha, and Daksha then got up from his deep sleep and he saw Lord Shiva. He surrendered unto Lord Shiva. Now he is offering his prayers to Lord Shiva. Daksha vacha bhuyananagraha avbhavata krito me dandastvaya mai prito yadapi pralabdha na brahma bandhu shuchava bhagwan navakya tubhyam harishcha kuteva dhritavriteshu. King Daksha said, "My dear Lord Shiva, I committed a great offense against you, but you are so kind that instead of withdrawing your mercy, you have given me a great favor. You have done me a great favor by punishing me. You and Lord Vishnu never neglect even useless, unqualified Brahmins. Why then you should neglect me, who am engaged in performing sacrifices?" Although Daksha felt defeated, he knew that his punishment was simply the great mercy of Lord Shiva. See, his attitude completely changed towards Lord Shiva. He remembered that Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu are never neglectful of the Brahmins, even though the Brahmins are sometimes unqualified. According to Vedic civilization, a descendant of a Brahmin family should never be heavily punished. This was exemplified in Arjuna's treatment of Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama was the son of a great Brahmin, Dronacharya, and in spite of his having committed the great offense of killing all the sleeping sons of the Pandavas, for which he was even condemned by Lord Krishna, Arjuna excused him by not killing him because he happened to be son of a Brahmin. The word Brahmbandhushu used here is significant. Brahmbandhu means a person who is born of a Brahmin father but whose activities are not up to the standard of the Brahmins. Such a person is not a Brahmin but a Brahmbandhu. Daksha proved himself to be a Brahmbandhu. He was born of a great Brahmin father, Lord Brahma, but his treatment of Lord Shiva was not exactly Brahminical. Therefore, he admitted that he was not a perfect Brahmin. Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, however, are affectionate even to an imperfect Brahmin. Lord Shiva punished Daksha not as one does his enemy, rather he punished Daksha just to bring him to his senses, so that he would know that he had done wrong. Daksha could understand this and he acknowledged the great mercy of Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva towards the fallen Brahmins, including even himself. Although he was fallen, his vow was to execute the sacrifice as is the duty of Brahmins. And thus he began his prayers to Lord Shiva. So here, Daksha not only recognized Lord Shiva's position, he recognized his own fallen condition as well. One can only pray when we understand other person is exalted and we are fallen. Otherwise, there is no prayer. Just like when we are chanting, we are praying to Radha and Krishna, please engage me in your service. So, in the scriptures, they're only summarized into three parts of knowledge. One is Sambandha Gyan, one is Abhideya, and then Prayojan. Since Sambandha means relationship, is very, very important to understand. Then comes Abhideya and Prayojan. So Sambandha means understanding our position, understanding Krishna's position, understanding our relationship. Abhideya is a devotional service. How we take on this sambandha further to achieve what? Prayojan. Prayojan means ultimate goal of life, which is Krishna Prem. So the basis of all this is sambandha or relationship. So when we are chanting, if we remember all, if we remember the position of Krishna through whatever we are studying from Prabhupada's books, and we remember our position, I'm just a fallen, conditioned soul, 10,000 part of the tip of the hair, thinking I am very powerful, thinking I am very important, very significant. I have this money, this much money, and that much money, and this much property, these relatives, that relatives. No. If we understand our precarious, very infinitesimal position in this material world, and understand Krishna's position is so exalted, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not an ordinary person, Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the enjoyer, proprietor, controller of every single thing in the material world or spiritual world, everywhere. He is a controller. And then when we understand this position, and then when we chant properly in that humble state of mind, understanding I don't have any qualifications. Whatever qualifications I have is only by your mercy. In that humble state of mind, when we pray, then the prayers are properly presented and properly heard by Krishna. So it's very important to understand this position. So prayer, so Daksha also, he's been brought to his senses. He thought he was somebody very important. And in the first sacrifice, he was walking and his body was effulgent as like hundreds and thousands of suns have appeared all of a sudden, and he was wearing all kinds of jewels and thinking, I'm such an important Prajapati, I'm the chief Prajapati, and I am entering the arena and all the Brahmins and demigods are getting up and I'm such a great person, and how come this Shiva does not get up? So his bubble was bursted right then and there. But then he still won't understand his position. So Shivji had to do what he had to do to bring him to his senses. And once he got to his senses, look how he's praying to Lord Shiva. That I am an unqualified Brahman, but you and Lord Vishnu are always known to be protector of even unqualified Brahmans. Vidya tapo vrit dharan mukhata sma vipran brahmatma tattvam vitum prathamam tvamarasraka tad brahmanan param sarva vipat supasi pala pashuni vibho pragrahita dandaha. My dear great and powerful Lord Shiva, you were created first from the mouth of Lord Brahma in order to protect the Brahmins in pursuing education, austerities, vows, and realization. As protector of the Brahmins, you always protect the regulative principles they follow, just as a cowherd boy keeps a stick in his hand to give protection to the cows. The specific function of a human being in society, irrespective of his social status, is to practice control of the mind and the senses by observing the regulative principles enjoined in the Vedic Shastras. Lord Shiva is called Pashupati because he protects the living entities in the developed consciousness so that they may follow the Vedic system of Varna and Ashram. The word Pashu refers to the animal as well as to the human entity. It is stated here that Lord Shiva is always interested in protecting the animals and the animalistic living entities who are not very advanced in the spiritual sense. It's also stated that the Brahmins are produced from the mouth of the Supreme Lord. We should always remember that Lord Shiva is being addressed as a representative of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. In the Vedic literature, it is described that the Brahmins are born from the mouth of the universal form of Vishnu. Kshatriyas are born from his arms, the Vaishyas from his abdomen or waist, and the Shudras from his legs. In the formation of a body, the head is the principal factor. The Brahmins are born from the mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In order to accept charity for worship of Vishnu and to spread Vedic knowledge, Lord Shiva is known as Pashupati, the protector of the Brahmins and other living entities. He protects them from the attacks of non-Brahmins or uncultured persons who are against the self-realization process. So Daksha is trying to implore his qualities of being a protector of the Brahmins. And he's reminding him, you are Pashupati. Or like in Nepal, we have a beautiful temple I heard of. I've never been there, but I've seen the pictures. Beautiful temple of Pashupatinath, Lord Pashupatinath. That's a temple of Lord Shiva. So Pashupati, Pashu means animal, or it also means animalistic living entities. And Prabhupada also said Lord Shiva is known as a person who protects animals or the animalist people with animalistic consciousness. Or he also protects the Brahmins. In fact, he protects all the living entities. That's why he's called Pashupatinath. So Daksha, in his own way, he's trying to ask for the protection. He's trying for protection. Another feature of this word is that persons who simply attached to the ritualistic portion of the Vedas and do not understand the situation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are not any more advanced than animals. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is confirmed that even though one performs the rituals of the Vedas, if he does not develop a sense of Krishna consciousness, then all his labor in performing Vedic rituals is considered to be simply a waste of time. So Shrama eva hi kevalam. If he does not develop love for Krishna, then whatever activities we do, whatever Vedic rituals, tapasyas, charities, whatever we do, it's all Shrama eva hi kevalam, useless wastage of labor. Lord Shiva's aim in destroying the Daksha's yagya was to punish Daksha, because by neglecting him, Lord Shiva, Daksha was committing a great offense. Lord Shiva's punishment was just like that of a coward boy who keeps his stick to frighten his animals. It is commonly said to give protection to animals, a stick is needed because animals cannot reason and argue. Their reasoning and argument is argumentum ad bajunam. Unless there is a rod, they do not obey. Force is required for the animalistic class of men, whereas those who are advanced are convinced by reasons, arguments, and scriptural authority. Persons who are simply attracted to Vedic rituals without further advancement of devotion service or Krishna consciousness are almost like animals. See, persons who are simply attached to Vedic rituals are almost like animals. And Lord Shiva is in charge of giving them protection and sometimes punishing them as he punished Daksha. So why they are just like animals? First of all, they are only being engaged in 4 activities which even animals do. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's all. They're not trying to understand what's the goal of life. It's performing Vedic rituals just to get, and also only engage in dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Even somebody can say moksha is for not for animals. But Prabhupada says they are almost like animals because basically they want to do dharma, artha and kama. Forget about moksha. Nobody wants to understand about moksha. So perform some Vedic rituals and get some money, artha, and enjoy kama. So Prabhupada says, or in the shloka it also says, force is required for the animalistic class of men. So Daksha was doing this yagyas because he was attached to Vedic rituals without understanding the real purpose of yagya. So for that reason also, Lord Shiva had to destroy the yagya and give him the right message, right understanding. That we don't perform yagya just for that part. We have to perform yagya for the pleasure of the Supreme and his devotees. Yoso maya viditattva sabhayam kshipto durukte vishikher vigannaya tanmam arvak patantam arhatam anindyapada drishtyardrya sabhakvan swakritena tushyet. I did not know your full glories. For this reason I threw arrows of sharp words at you in the open assembly, although you did not take them into account. I was going down to hell because of my disobedience to you, who are the most respectable personality. But you took compassion upon me and saved me by awarding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words. As usual, a devotee in an adverse condition of life accepts such a condition to be the mercy of the Lord. Factually, the insulting words used by Daksha against Lord Shiva were enough to have him thrown perpetually into a hellish life. But Lord Shiva, being kind towards him, awarded him punishment to neutralize the offense. So whenever something negative happens in a life, negative according to us, it's not really negative from Krishna's perspective. So we should understand this is punishment from Krishna for my offenses. Otherwise, for my offenses, I would have gone down to hell. But Krishna is so merciful. He just given me a little token punishment, not even full punishment for my karmas, for my offenses, for my sins, that he's just letting me go with token punishment. He's so merciful. At the same time, we cannot decide the kind of punishment or the amount of punishment or the time of punishment or the place of punishment. This is not our decision, not in our control. It's all controlled by Krishna. All we have to do, always be grateful and continue to perform more and more devotional service, more sincerely, with more determination. Then we are the right candidate for liberation. So Prabhupada said, but Lord Shiva, being kind towards him, awarded him punishment to neutralize the offense. King Daksha realized this and, feeling obliged for Lord Shiva's magnanimous behavior, wanted to show his gratitude. Sometimes a father punishes his child, and when the child is grown up and comes to his senses, he understands that the father's punishment was not actually punishment, but mercy. Similarly, Daksha appreciated that the punishment offered to him by Lord Shiva was a manifestation of Lord Shiva's mercy. So Prabhupada gives the example of father punishing a child, and when the child grows up and comes to his senses, then he can understand that the father's punishment was actually mercy. So many times, father or mother, they punish a child for not studying, even though exam is there and he is watching TV or playing all kinds of games or spending too much time on the phone or the internet. So they punish him. At that time, it looks very bad. He feels very bad. The child feels bad. Oh, parent, they don't understand anything, this and that. But when he grows up, if he looks back and if he realizes properly, he will understand that was the right thing, exactly what I needed at that time. Because now it's time for him to punish his children. So, so the children, they're always gonna do stuff which they want to do. They never want to listen to parents. That's always there. But parents, and like Prabhupada also mentioned somewhere in Bhagavatam, the Chanakya Pandit says that parents should be very lenient with the child till he is 5. From 5 to 15, that is a formative age. They have to be very strict. No more leniency. And after he or she turns 15, then parents have to treat him as a friend. So from 5 to 15, so from first grade to 10th grade, got to be heavy, got to be strict. Because that is when the real or the correct practices or habits can be put in the child. But you all have to decide how strict. I'm not saying how strict. So specific, this is general statement, and details you know what to do. So Prabhupada says, similarly, Daksha appreciated that the punishment offered to him by Lord Shiva was a manifestation of Lord Shiva's mercy. That is a symptom of a person making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness. It is said that a devotee in Krishna consciousness never takes any miserable condition of life to be condemnation by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He accepts the miserable condition to the grace of the Lord. He thinks, I would have been punished or put into more dangerous condition of life due to my past misdeeds. But the Lord has protected me. Thus I have received only a little punishment or as token execution of the law of karma. Thinking of His grace or Krishna's grace in that way, a devotee always surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead more and more seriously and not disturbed by such so-called punishment. See, Prabhupada's purpose are very, very important for us to understand, first of all, the value of life, value of human life, value of a devotee human life. That there is no space for any kind of depression. So devotees should not go through depression period. Because they should understand depression comes when, how. Just like this recent case of suicide by Sushant Singh Rajput. So he was depressed. First of all, we don't know whether it was suicide or murder. So let's see if it was a suicide. So he was depressed. Why? Because his expectations from the movie industry were not fulfilled, or his progress was being checked by a few people in the industry. So his expectations were, I will be a great movie star, actor. No doubt, he was a great actor, but to come to that stardom position, that just different. So if he had been a devotee in making or trying to surrender, then he would have realized it's Krishna, who's making all these arrangements, as the miserable conditions. And he could have taken the conditions to the grace of the Lord, or should have taken. Of course, it's easy for me to sit here in air-conditioned room and nicely positioned to speak about somebody who must have gone through really hell. Otherwise, nobody thinks about taking his own life, committing suicide. It's not easy thing to do. But at the same time, this is why the scriptures are presented. Prabhupada has given us a very simple language to understand that whatever is happening in our lives is basically out of our own karma. And since we are trying to be devotees of the Lord, we're trying to surrender unto the Lord is going to be very, very kind towards us. So the karma or karmic reaction, whatever we are supposed to get, either he can just eliminate it completely, or he can just give us token punishment. So that we understand our position, we understand Krishna's position, and we understand I should have been punished more, but now he has given me another chance, so I can be more serious and more determined, more sincere in my service towards it. Once one tries or starts becoming a devotee, then his file is shifted from Yamaraja's office to Krishna's office. It moves to his personal computer. So he decides. Yamaraj does not decide in that case. And in fact, I mean, this is for a neophyte devotee. For a more advanced devotee, punishment could be more severe, much more than what is karma ordained. Why? Because Krishna wants his devotee to surrender more and more and get out of this miserable condition of life, this lifetime only. So maybe he gives more miseries. And in that, by giving him more misery, and the devotee never gives up on Krishna, never gives up his lotus feet. So this way Krishna also shows to the world that my devotee never leaves me and I never leave my devotee. I'll protect him no matter what. No matter what the situation is, whatever he's going through, I'll always protect him. And he also never leaves me. That is the beauty of devotion service. But at the same time, by doing this, Krishna, he filters out people who are just on the boundary of trying to be devotees. Because he wants only sincere, serious people in devotional service. Why? Because by devotional service, he himself gets purchased. He himself gets controlled by a devotee. So he doesn't want to give up so easily. So we have to see where do we stand. If we are right on the boundary or not towards devotional service, we see the devotee suffering, we go away, thinking, why should I? There's too much. If we are in the beginning phases, the Krishna can reduce the punishment just to give some more inspiration, more motivation for us to carry on. But when we become really serious, I don't know if anything else is guaranteed. Is Prabhupada say, as sure as death is guaranteed. But in the life of a devotee, punishments or the tests are guaranteed. Just like in nursery or first grade, the exams are very simple. Of course, for the student of first grade, exams could be, and they think it's very difficult. But as we grow older, grow towards higher classes, our exams start getting tougher and tougher and tougher. How much we have to study, whole night and whole day, we're just studying. A student in the first grade, he doesn't spend whole night studying. Because exams are getting tougher and tougher. Because we are progressing towards higher and higher classes, and then go to grad school and post-grad school and the PhD. That is when we become pure. PhD means pure-hearted devotee. So till then, lots of exams will be there. And tougher and tougher exams will be there. But at the same time, Krishna's devotees are very merciful. So they can help us, cheat in the exam. And cheat in the sense, they can help us out. Okay, you're suffering, don't worry, come, I'll help you. Just come to my association. Or we take shelter, we take association. Like we take association of Prabhupada. And if you just read this paragraph, then there is no need for any depression. No need for any doubts in devotional service. It gives us full strength, full impetus to carry on. And like Prabhupada's words are amazing. And that's what Prabhupada said, thinking of his grace in that way, a devotee always surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead more and more seriously and is not disturbed by such so-called punishment. So that are the advantages of reading Prabhupada's books. So anyway, I'll stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, so we'll stop here. You all have a wonderful and safe day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shila Prabhupada.